Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. This is episode number 170, and my name is Henry.
And I'm Paul.
This week, we have another retro review doubleheader for you, kind of playing off the show we did a few weeks ago on Spring Breakers and Showgirls. This time around, we're talking about Magic Mike and then Magic Mike XXL. And so that's going to be a great time. I'm excited to talk about those. And then for news, we have some new trailers like Venom, Let There Be Carnage, The Forever Purge, and there might be some other stuff in there. And if we have time, we might get to a listener question, but we might just save that stuff for next week. So should be just fine, I hope. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. You had mentioned just before we started recording that it had been sort of a longer week for you than you had expected, or busier week, I guess. And I feel kind of the same way. I ended up getting like Magic Mike during the week, but I watched Magic Mike 2 and finished it about 20 minutes ago.
Same.
So, I was honestly like, geez, am I gonna make Magic Mike XXL in time? So yeah. It was a little bit of a long one, but it's been pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, been all right. I finished with school, so that's officially done. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, I guess for people who didn't tune in last week, I did recently join the Air Force, so I'm kind of preparing for that, and just getting a little bit of time off. So that's nice, detoxing somewhat.
What's Air Force prep like?
Well, I'm trying to qualify for special warfare.
Okay,
and so it's pretty intense. I have to pass. I've passed one fitness test already. I have to pass at least one or two more. So it's 4 or 5 days a week of like running and swimming and push-ups and sit-ups, all that stuff. So I've been doing it for months now, so it's not all that strange, but it can be tough to be consistent and diligent with it, over time. And I mean, gosh, I'm 27, Paul. I'm an old man, so I feel like I've already been starting to feel the kind of like pains and things that I didn't have a couple years ago. So that's been going fine. And yeah, so, plugging along, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I have too much. No updates about my candy purchase. I've stopped with the bazooka. It's sitting idle over in my bedroom here, and I've gone through everything else. So time to restock at some point.
Try Fun Dip.
Yo, yeah, Pop Rocks maybe, or something kind of out there. But yeah, well, Paul, anything else you want to mention, man, before we get started?
No, I think that I'll save some of the other stuff for later.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, yeah, with all that said, I guess we can jump into our first review, which is Magic Mike, and we do have a clip, so take a listen.
Miami is looking good. I got a couple of loopholes I got to get through with the real estate attorneys down there, but after that, it's going to be all green lights, brother.
What you need from me? What's my side?
You just got to keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah?
I love your head's out, your focus, like a big brother to this team. You keep that up, you can be making a lot more than this door money, I guarantee you that.
Both ways this time, man, right?
Two-way street, man.
I want you to hear to say the word, equity.
E-Q-U.
Say it.
T-Y.
All right. So Magic Mike was released in 2012. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, and it stars Matthew McConaughey, Channing Tatum, Olivia Munn, Alex Pettyfer, James Martin Kelly, Cody Horn, Reed Carolyn, Olivia Munn is in there. Am I forgetting anybody big?
Riley Koff technically gets a title card at the end, so I guess technically.
Yeah, Joe Manganiello, I can never say his name right, and some other people, but you can do that research on your own.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Oh, yeah. And the synopsis is a male stripper teaches a young performer how to party, pick up women, and make easy money. So, yeah, well, Paul, you had suggested we do these two films. Would you like to kick things off? Tell us your background with these films?
Sure. So I hadn't seen either of them before now.
Oh, really?
And so my whole idea was really, we did Showgirls, we did Spring Breakers, which a lot of people, decry as exploitative. And so I was like, let's go and do something that's meant to sort of counterbalance that. And the first thing that popped to my mind was Magic Mike and Magic Mike XXL.
Great name. Love that title.
Because really, are you supposed to call it Magic Mike Extra Large? Or are you supposed to call it Magic Mike XXL?
I've only heard XXL, which to be honest, I actually do genuinely like.
Okay.
But
so I think it's clever, but it doesn't, I think, roll off the tongue particularly well. So going into it, I knew that it was a Soderbergh film, or at least the first one was, and I knew that he was someone that I generally liked as a filmmaker. I enjoy Contagion. I like Oceans 11 and 13. I wasn't forgetting 12. I don't enjoy it.
What about Side Effects?
Haven't seen it.
It's good stuff.
I really enjoy Logan Lucky. So I really enjoy Soderbergh as a filmmaker. He's very, very distinct. And I was kind of curious. I was like, if this is something that had Soderbergh's attention, I'll give it a watch. And for the most part, I actually think that it's pretty successful. I think that it has some foibles. I think that it has a little bit of plotting as a problem and time as an issue. It's a little bit long in the tooth for me. But honestly, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the first one. How about you?
First of all, where does that phrase come from? Long in the tooth?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
If anybody knows out there, please let us know.
My general guess is that it's probably about tooth extraction. And it being a really painful, sort of. But That's just a wild stab.
Yeah. Let us know, anybody out there, if you know. But yeah, so anyways, I'm similar to you where I'm a big Steven Soderbergh fan. I love The Informant. That's my favorite out of all of them. And I've seen, I think, pretty much everything he's done. And I didn't see this one till years later. I think it was kind of marketed as, for lack of a better term, like a girls' night out kind of film, like strippers, and which, nothing wrong with that. But I think that's similar to Spring Breakers. A lot of people that I talked to and read about were kind of disappointed that it was not really that necessarily. Mm-hmm. There is stripping and there's a sexual side to it, but there's a lot more there than you would expect. And it's really more of a satire than anything else, as well as a character study, And so the movie is a lot more thoughtful than you would think. But overall, I really do like Magic Mike a lot. I think it's kind of underrated. I think one thing with Channing Tatum, I think at the time this came out, he was starting to break out of his shell a little bit. I don't think people took him all that seriously at this point. But I think soon after he had Side Effects, Foxcatcher, and a lot of great roles. And I think he's very good in this. I mean, for one thing, he is a really good dancer. He does the dancing himself, and he is quite good at it, which adds a lot to his character and the film. I think also Matthew McConaughey is incredible in it. So funny, so charismatic, and that character is great. It's one of his better looking movies as well. The blues and the yellows are great. He shot it himself and edited it himself, as he does a lot of the time. I think there are a couple issues with it towards the end that we can get to, but overall, I was really surprised about how much I did like it when I first saw it, and I still really like it now.
No, yeah. So I was one of those people who didn't necessarily take Channing Tatum particularly seriously. Magic Mike, I think, was still around the time where they were discussing about, there were rumors of Channing being Gambit,
right,
in a Gambit movie, and I hated that idea. He was certainly never a performer that really latched on to me, especially because, I didn't give a shit about the Step Up movies. No. I didn't give a shit about Dear John. So like he had never really done anything for me at that point where I was like, wow, Channing. And so since then, there have been more performances of his that I have enjoyed, like Foxcatcher, like Logan Lucky. And so coming into this, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And he was very naturally charming. He had effortless sort of chemistry with just about everyone. And I was really surprised. And I was like, this is what Steven Soderbergh saw. This is 100% what he latched onto in this actor. And I thought he was super successful. I was really, really surprised. McConaughey's great. Honestly, the thing that hurt the movie the most for me, and it kind of gets into some of the issues of what happens later in the movie, is that it does become a character study. That's fine. But Alex Pettyfer and his whole journey for me was kind of a wash. I didn't know why I should like him. He didn't have any of that charisma for me. And I just kept on hitting points where I was like, let's get back to Channing. Show me Channing making a table.
Exactly.
He constantly is talking about.
That is the prime stuff in the movie.
But, he keeps on talking about like, oh, yeah, I do all of this like reclaimed furniture, reclaimed material, pieces. But, it never felt like he was anything more than a stripper. And so, some of the character study stuff that comes later for me didn't really land because I didn't give much of a damn about Alex Pettyfer.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the third act, I found it very start to like sag. I thought that it was a very saggy third act for me. And I was just like, can we just focus up a little bit more here?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think my biggest issue, not to go ahead and jump to the very end, but I think that my main issue with the plot is I don't totally buy Channing Tatum, who kind of takes Alex Pettyfer under his wing, kind of like a, rise and fall, Stars Born kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy him giving all of his money away to this kid to like bail him out when has this dream of having his own company. And I don't buy his total devotion to this guy after a fairly short period of time. And it like that kind of felt out of character for me.
Yeah. And I think that they try to paste over that by being, he's talking to the sister later and the sister's like, I didn't know about the money. And he's like, I didn't do it for him. And I feel like they try to paste over that, but sort of the issue is, not to get into too many spoilers, this is actually a really interesting sort of case study in where like scripting just doesn't work. So toward the end of the film, the young stripper is in debt for a pallet of ecstasy that he went into with Gabriel Iglesias. And the guys come to not the apartment that he lives in, but the place that he sometimes stays, which is Channing Tatum's home. They don't find him. They can't reach Channing. They don't find money. So they literally just ransack the whole place. He then willingly gives them 10 grand out of his like 13 grand that he has saved. And then he goes and looks at the sister and gives her a line that implies that he did it for her. The guy lives with his sister. If the criminals had just gone to the apartment and it was the sister being roughed up. Now, here's the thing, folks. I can't help that this is rote. I can't help this is trite and maybe a little contrived. But the problem is, this is about stakes, right? And so if he did it for her, then she needs to be directly in the line of conflict of her brother's decisions. And so that's a big part of the movie that definitely like just falls apart. And honestly, I'm not really sold on their relationship. The things that I like the least about Magic Mike 1 are the brother and the sister, just their presence, how they interact with Channing, that kind of thing. I feel like that's where the storytelling gets the sloppiest.
That was a great summation, Paul.
Thank you.
No, I agree with that. But even so, I think talking about more so the heart of the movie, and actually, you know, it shows Channing Tatum being a construction worker. Give me a movie of him just doing that. Would love that. I mean, he sold it. He was great. You know, working on the furniture, all that stuff. I loved. Would love to just see a film about that. But anyhow, I think one thing about the movie that goes into satire, which is really interesting, and we can talk about Showgirls a little bit with this, where it shows how, you know, a strip club that has female dancers, it typically has a much more sleazy style and customer base, whereas one with male strippers, it seems to be much more of a like rehearsed performance. And not only that, but seems to be more of a self-awareness in the customers of like, this is ridiculous, but these guys are hot, I'm going to go have fun. Whereas like at a strip club with predominantly men, it's not so much that same reasoning. And so I think that's what's really fun is they have these ridiculous performances, like with the Tarzan guy, you know, all that stuff, you know, these very rehearsed numbers, which you would not really get at most female dancer strip clubs, from what I know. I haven't been to one, but from
you have not been to a strip club.
I haven't.
Okay, I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was an okay time. I came in overdressed. Actually, I came in like in a sport coat and like a button down, and I got in there and I was there with a friend for a birthday party, and she had gone on all out and like reserved like a little VIP area. And over there, it felt better than kind of, to your point, in the sort of pit with all the Joe chums, you know. Over there, it got a little dicey in terms of clientele and in terms of atmosphere. But no, I think you really hit a good point. It definitely strikes a very contrasting image to what happens, you know, especially even based on my own personal experience of what happens in a strip club where men are the clientele.
Paul, was there a free buffet at the one you went to?
There is almost nothing free at a strip club. Even if the buffet is free, you probably had to pay some sort of fee somewhere along the way. I couldn't even get water for free at the strip club that I was at. So
I only say that because there's an episode of Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson eats like bacon and eggs at the strip club. So I was just curious if that was true. But
no, this one, if it had a buffet, I was not a part of it.
It's too bad. Anyhow, but yeah, so I think that's one really interesting thing about the movie that I think Steven Soderbergh adds to it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't demand that kind of commentary, but he's able to add that in fairly subtly.
No, for sure. And he does a really good job of typing these characters in this world without them feeling caricature-y. You know, everyone definitely fills a role and a type in the group, but no one feels beholden to all of the tropes of that type.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And also one good thing about the movie. Now, is Matt Bomer in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. One good thing about the movie is they're not all super annoying. You know, like they are macho and kind of, you know, meatheads a little bit, but they're not so much that you're like desperately trying to get away from them. There is, you know, some charm there, but also, you know, Channing Tatum is the center, and he's quite good and subdued. But no, I think the movie is really funny. There's a lot of good humor, not only in the satire, but just in written lines. I think the soundtrack is very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Olivia Munn is in there for a little bit, and their kind of off and on relationship is, adds a little bit. She doesn't do a whole lot, but I think it's somewhat interesting.
It's more interesting until the end. The end is where it gets a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't mind as much the relationship with the sister, but I think the main issue is with Alex Pettyfer, who I don't really care about, as you were saying. And I don't think he's as charismatic, and I'm not really given a reason, as you said, to really care about him. I love Channing Tatum, and I'll watch him all day, but I think the times it did cut away, I was like, all right, yeah, let's get back.
No, yeah. Channing anchors the whole movie. And I almost never thought that I'd be at a place of like, it's almost worth the watch for his performance alone. The Olivia Munn thing works for me until the end. And then when it ends up for me kind of also harming the dynamic that he had with the sister, because it almost feels like this other thing that I was maybe going to do and maybe get serious with, but it didn't work. So now I'll go with option B. Yeah. And so for me, that kind of harmed that a little bit. Another big note for me was that if he really cared about the sister and really cared about this kid, I did need Channing, and maybe this was Steven, maybe this was Channing, maybe it was the script. I needed Mike to feel more engaged when the kid overdoses or is like overserved and is potentially going to aspirate, because he's like, oh, look, he's fine. He's breathing. It's okay. No harm, no foul. And it's like, a dude could have died in your home. Yeah. You should at least be a little bit more concerned.
Yeah. Come on, Mike. Come on. No, I agree. Well, one random point, I love the scene at the gym where Matthew McConaughey is teaching Alex Pettyfer how to dance. Yeah. Great stuff. And so I think it's just a really charming, really interesting film that, I think if you have not seen it or you have hesitation to watch it for whatever reason, I would really check it out, because there's a lot more there than you would think.
No, for sure. I was very pleasantly surprised. And if I not that I'm some goal metric by which you should measure any kind of experience, but I'm one of those people who walked in, with a certain amount of skepticism and walked out pleasantly surprised. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I'm a pretty tough nut to crack on certain things. And so I think that if you have any hesitation, I was in that camp and I was really happy with what I got.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else about the first one. No, I mean, all the dance numbers are pretty good.
It's very obvious who is and is not any way kind of trained.
Right.
And I will say that.
And and some of it plays into, I think, the satire, like the Tarzan guy who's like not at all attractive, mm-hmm. Who has the long hair and beard, and he's super burly, and there is he's not very elegant or graceful, but you could see someone having like fun with that in mm-hmm. a self-aware way, and that works. But I agree, like I think they all work in their own way, but it is noticeable nevertheless.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else about the first one?
No, I think I have one note, but it's for both movies actually. So I'll wait until we're done with the second one for this note.
Okay. But yeah, I do really like the look of the movie. I like how Steven Soderbergh shoots his films, but I think the blue and the yellow really work in this for me.
Yeah, I could have done with a little bit less yellow during the day. It made everything just a little bit sickly, but I feel like it came to life at night, yeah. And I feel like at night and in the club is where the movie looks the prettiest.
Yeah, totally. All right, out of 5, for the first
3.5. Very strong 3.5. It got too saggy for me in the last 30 minutes to where I was pretty distracted.
Really?
And distractible. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that hurt it for me in enough of a way that I'm going to bring it down.
All right. It's a 4.5 for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
coming in strong.
Yeah. I mean, because when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, this is not at all what I expected. And I really enjoyed it. And I read a lot about it at the time. And so, yeah, I would say, I mean, Steven Soderbergh is super prolific. And, I'm trying to think of what else he's done. He's done those iPhone shot films lately.
And I have not watched those.
Yeah, they're okay.
Mostly because if you're gonna retire, don't be like, haha, loophole. I'm still making movies, but on my iPhone.
Right.
Retire or start making TV.
Yeah. But he did Side Effects. Gosh, I mean, I know he's done a lot of other stuff. I mean, he did the Oscars this year. So, or he produced them at least. Good
for him, I guess.
He did Behind the Candelabra, which was pretty good.
I liked that one a lot.
Yeah. He did. He directed all of The Nick, which is a great show.
I do like The Nick, yeah.
Yeah, with Clive Owen. He did Logan Lucky, which is probably my favorite of the last decade or so. He did Unsane, Mosaic, the HBO series, The Laundromat, High Flying Bird, Let Them All Talk, which I haven't seen that one yet with Meryl Streep. But no, I mean, he's one movie that I think is very underrated that he did a few years before this is The Girlfriend Experience. Did you ever see that, Paul?
No, but I know that it has Sasha Grey in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting one. Anyhow, so yeah. Cool. I guess we can talk about Magic Mike XXL, and we do have a clip for this one as well. So take a listen.
What y'all doing here? Give your mama some sugar.
How are you?
They always come back.
Mm-hmm.
You've been out. How long?
Don't worry about it.
Couple years.
Come on, you can find us a
You've
spot.
been dancing. Come on, look at you. Let me see.
Come on,
Are you even in shape?
It's like riding a bike.
I don't know. This is Big Dumb Rick. How you doing?
It's Dick.
Okay, so you don't have an MC.
We do have an MC.
You don't have an MC. What am I supposed to do?
We do have an MC.
Hey, gorgeous. Shut up. Hey, you got a spot for us? 1020. That's why I love you. That's a money spot. I expect y'all make some money in that spot. Thank you.
Alrighty. Oh, and one thing quickly, I forgot to mention about the first one that I think is pretty impressive. This movie made the first one, Magic Mike, made $167 million against a $7 million budget. That's quite a
solid
profit.
Return on investment. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, Magic Mike XXL came out in 2015, 3 years later. It's directed by Gregory Jacobs, and it's written by the same person, Reed Carolyn. It stars Channing Tatum, Matt Bomer, Gabriel Iglesias, Adam Rodriguez, Joe Manganiello, Amber Heard.
A cameo by Andrew McDowell.
Yes. Yep.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty stacked.
Mm-hmm.
And the synopsis, Elizabeth Banks as well.
Mm-hmm.
The synopsis is 3 years after Mike bowed out of the stripper life at the top of his game, he and the remaining Kings of Tampa hit the road to Myrtle Beach to put on one last blowout performance. So, this one, Steven Soderbergh did not return to direct, but it was still a pretty big success. Not as received as well critically, but still a commercial success.
Mm-hmm.
So, Paul, what did you think about Magic Mike XXL?
It does feel twice as long.
Sure.
I'm not as enamored with the second one as the first one by a decent amount. There's still a lot that I do like. There are still things that make me laugh about it. There are still things that I think are clever with it. And even though we ditch Alex Pettyfer, it kind of has for me that classic sequel problem of like, how do we start the character back over again? Kind of, it's a little Ghostbusters 2, if you will. No one grew. We kind of went back and started over on a certain level. And so for me, I think that makes it a little bit weaker overall. It is not directed by Soderbergh, as it is directed by a producer of several Soderbergh films. And I think that it is a little bit less visually engaging.
Yes.
And I think that's where I'll leave it for right now. What did you think?
Pretty much in agreement. I still enjoy it. I really like the world, and I like the character of Magic Mike a lot. And honestly, I would watch a third one. If the center was on Magic Mike, I would watch a third film, even if it wasn't incredible. What's up?
Do you want a Magic Mike 3 where it continues the journey, or do you want a Magic Mike White Chocolate where it's the prequel to him and his days working with Jada?
I think I'm kind of done with prequels. I would like to keep, I would prefer to keep it linear. Maybe a couple flashbacks, that's fine. But I would prefer to just new story, new set of characters.
Keep chugging.
Yeah, ditch the guys who he's around and find a new group, or just have him being a carpenter of sorts. But anyways, so I still enjoy the movie. I think it's charming. It's fun. I think, as you said, there is a pretty immediate loss of command with the direction, and I think it just feels like there's not nearly as much going on underneath as there was with the first, especially watching the two fairly close together. Maybe if I hadn't seen it for a couple years, with the releases, I might feel differently, but I think that hurts it a little bit for me. It still looks good, not as good as Soderbergh, of course. I do really like the sprinkling of these different characters that they encounter. Like, I think Andie MacDowell is awesome, and that scene with her group in the house is great.
That's my favorite scene of the road trip. Yeah.
I think Elizabeth Banks, Jada Pinkett Smith is very good. I think the scene where they're in the house or the club, whatever, and Channing Tatum is dancing, I think all that stuff is really fun and enjoyable. Amber Heard is in this very briefly. She's all right. And so, to sum up, there's not a lot going on, but I still find it entertaining. And I would bring on Magic Mike 3. Why not?
No, I mean, I'd probably watch a third. For me, I think that this one hits some of the traps that the last one avoided. I feel like some of them get a little bit more hokey in their type. I think Matt Bomer especially gets a lot hokier, and I'm a level 3 Reiki healer, and I'm burning sage in the van, and
be present.
I was, and I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
So I think that they get into that sort of, I don't know, this weird dude bro frat guy kind of persona. It feels like a bunch of Peter Pans who never really grew up on a road trip together. And honestly, I think that instead of this being a road trip movie, I'd have preferred if it had been a little bit more of like a competition movie, where instead of chalking the Jada Pinkett scene, or the Jada Pinkett scene, sequence with a Michael Strahan cameo and a Donald Glover cameo and a Twitch cameo. And I think that if we had just condensed it down into, he shows up, he has a conversation with Jada, they have past, they have conflict. She goes, you know what? You want me? Fine. Bring out white chocolate again. And he had to prove that he still had that. and then he got her along, and then we went into the Andie MacDowell sequence, I think that would have played a lot better for me. Just because for me, that portion, again, it just got saggy. There were whole sections of this movie where I was like, what is this about? And the whole movie, the second Magic Mike movie, everyone is figuring out that, or everyone should be figuring out that piece of their life that they wish that they could incorporate into their life and bring them satisfaction. So Matt Bomer talks about, his old singing career, his old acting career. Mike has his business, and his girlfriend recently left him. Tito wants to go and start his frozen yogurt business. Joe's character, Richie, Big Dick Richie, is just looking for a nice woman who accepts him for who he is, and he doesn't really have a lot of other skill sets or things going for him. And
Awesome.
And Tarzan, is just glad to be around people. He's lived this interesting life, this varied life, and he's just glad to have his friends around him. And so I think that the Andie MacDowell scene works for me because it starts to tap into the themes better, of regret, of loss, of wishfulness, of imagining what if life had zigged instead of zagged. And I think that that's why that scene works so well. And, we spend so much time on this road trip to get to the end, to have the final performance, and then movie's done. And I think that makes the journey feel a little incomplete for me.
Yeah, I think my least favorite part about the movie is the plot. Like the motivation for going to this convention or, competition, whatever. Like, I don't care as much about that, even though I didn't love Alex Pettyfer. At least that arc is more interesting than, hey, let's go on a road trip to this show that you don't know anything about. You don't care if they win or not, aside from them being happy.
Did they win? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't. And so that, I think, is the weakest part about the movie. However, I think a little dissimilar to you, I still find the movie kind of light on its feet. And I like how it's shot. I like how just the movie is put together, and I like the locations a lot. And so that I didn't have as much of an issue with, but for me, it's more so just the substance of the movie is lacking in comparison to the first.
No, I get that.
Yeah. But still, good soundtrack as well. I like the scene towards the beginning or I guess it's really a whole sequence. I like where it shows Channing Tatum doing like the business numbers himself with the furniture company, all that stuff, doing work himself and just living life. I like all that stuff. And then I like where he's in his workshop and he starts dancing because the iconic, theme song comes on, and all that stuff is just fun and enjoyable. So.
No, for sure. And those are definitely probably some of the places that I think the movie soars the best. It lacks urgency.
Yeah.
The first one, even though it had some issues, it had urgency. This one really lacks urgency. And I think that is on a certain level, probably because this wasn't Steven Soderbergh's. He wasn't directly overseeing this. If he were the director, he'd have been involved in the pre-production process. Some of these things could have been ironed out. And our director was really, even though he is a longtime producer, he is still a rookie director. He only has 2 movies under his belt before this. They were years before it. And also just going from Soderbergh to someone who's only done 2 other movies, that's a huge difference, just in terms of pure doing the work,
How good would it be if we had a Steven Soderbergh Magic Mike trilogy where he had directed 3 films?
Honestly, I think the only thing that would be better is if Magic Mike 3 somehow ended up being a crossover with Showgirls.
Well, yeah. Hopefully they're at work on that right now. Yeah, no, I agree. The direction is lesser for sure. And yeah, so, but to me, it's just kind of cool to be in that world and not be, I don't know, not feeling too like exploitative or too needlessly graphic or anything like that. It's just kind of indulging in the world a little bit, but there's still a little bit of thoughtfulness there and playfulness there. And so that I really like and appreciate about the movie.
You know, I do have to, and this is my note for the first one and for the second one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very pro nudity in film and TV. I just think that it needs to be equal opportunity. And so, you know, honestly, I just need more movies with dick shots in them, you know, and I feel like this was a great opportunity. Both of these were great opportunities that were just kind of, you know, missed out. You know, Showgirls put that stuff out there, you know, frame by frame, and to the point that it became casual.
Right.
On a certain level. It's almost like working backstage in theater. Like you almost get desensitized to it. It becomes almost like you have blinders on. And so not saying that, you know, every movie needs to just have nudity left, right, and center, but, you know, reach for it a little bit. You know, we've never had a movie about male strippers that ever hit that NC-17 pinnacle.
Right.
And,
no,
you know.
I agree. One thing I forgot to mention about the first, I love it when Alex Pettyfer goes into the dressing room and the guy is using the like air gun thing to blow up
the penis pump. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
That is one of my favorite bits, is the out of focus right in the foreground, just ever slowly growing further into the frame.
A little
Really
Soderbergh subtlety there.
No, I thought that was a great bit. That's one of the funniest bits for me from the first one.
Yeah. But I mean, this one, you know, there's not a whole lot to say about it because there's not a whole lot going on. But, you know, I think that the road trip structure, I like to a certain degree. I just don't care about where they're going, which is fine. It's not a huge deal breaker for me, but.
Well, and the thing about a road trip movie, okay, a road trip movie has to not be about the destination.
Sure.
It must be about the journey. And I don't think that this movie figured out whether or not it was about the destination or the journey. And I think that they try to turn the destination into this culmination of them discovering themselves on a certain level in their final performance. But I think they could have done that in a competition movie.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not sure that the road trip really works for the format. You know, it's not about the journey in any kind of way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Excuse me. So yeah, that's where it kind of hurts a little bit. One thing, talking about performance, I do like Matt Bomer in general. I think his character is overwritten in this, but
but he sells it.
Yeah. I mean, I loved him I never watched White Collar, but I liked him a lot in The Nice Guys, in The Normal Heart, and he pops up here and there that I think he can be really, really good, and he is good in this. It's just, you know, it's not a perfect execution all around.
No, yeah, and then I would like to, I think, like it more than I currently do. And there's always room to, you know, I guess, win me back in a third one. But right now, the second one is definitely the weaker of the two for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It did improve on Tarzan for me. I enjoyed getting the little bits of his life. I really enjoyed that kind of...
Yeah, same.
Him slowly opening up, talking about Desert Storm, talking about the life that he missed out on. I really enjoyed that stuff a lot. Yeah.
And I guess one presence that is lacking from the movie is Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, and you do feel it. You notice it.
Yeah, and they kind of write him off pretty quick, you know, just, which, you know, whatever, that's fine, but he is missing. Yeah. Noticeably, so. For sure. Yeah. Anything else about Magic Mike XXL or Magic Mike in general? No, I think that I'm pretty good. Yeah. They're worth a watch. I think both are. I mean, if you like the first one, and give the second one a look, why not? Yeah, I did think that this was a great performance from Jada. You know, she got to have a lot of fun, and you can tell that she's having a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I guess one thing, no, I won't say that. No. So anyways, out of 5 stars, Paul?
I'm going to stand by 2.5.
Okay. It's a 3.5 for me.
Okay. So we did both come down a full point, but you just started
higher.
1 point higher. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Well, yeah. Well, that's all done and over with. So I guess we can touch on some news. You want to talk trailers, Paul?
Sure.
All right. So I guess the first one we can talk about is Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which is the Venom sequel to the Tom Hardy film from a couple years ago, which we did review on the show at some point. And this one is just a pretty direct sequel, and it brings in Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
It dropped Ruben Fleischer as director.
Oh, who's directing it?
Andy Serkis.
Huh.
I
don't know if I like that. But I don't know if I like the first one either. But
I didn't. I refused to watch the first one.
Really?
Yeah, I was really pissed off by the first trailer, and I wasn't sold by anything that I saw. And then we got to the end where it was like, you're going to roll like a turd in the wind. And that was the moment where I was like, I'm not fucking going. I won't fucking see it.
Classic Paul.
And then I heard people respond to it, and I was like, I'm glad I didn't. And then I saw, Woody Harrelson in his Ronald McDonald wig in the post-credit scene. And even though I'm not a big Carnage fan from the comics, I also didn't really enjoy the Woody casting, because it just felt like I'm going to get Woody doing his leftovers from Natural Born Killers warmed over.
Zombieland.
Yeah, so I don't know. It didn't really sell for me. Nothing about anything that I heard about the first Venom made me go, you know what? I should give it a shot.
Yeah. So is that now still how you feel about the second one?
Yeah. My favorite part of the trailer, I can honestly say this. I deeply enjoyed Venom making breakfast.
Yeah.
It reminded me on a certain level of like films that I grew up with in like the early or late 90s, like Flubber or Casper, this crazy CG character who doesn't really quite know how to be normal, doing this ludicrous action, or the simple action, but in a ludicrous way. I love the cats up. What? I really enjoyed that bit. So like that whole segment, I really enjoyed. And then the moment we got past that, I was like, oh, this is just another shitty Venom movie.
Paul, we have to review Flubber.
You know what? Deal. Hell yeah. I'll review Flubber tomorrow.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the trailer?
So I liked, I'm a huge Tom Hardy fan. I watch everything he does. I liked the first one to a certain extent. I kind of liked its humor, and I think there were issues with it for sure. I remember Sky Tilley, he was on that episode, and we talked about it a little bit. And I think maybe Jacob Bowers, maybe. But anyways, I liked it. I didn't love it by any means, but I like the Venom character, and Tom Hardy really anchors it for me. If it was a different actor, I would probably not be all that interested. I think the movie looks interesting. It's going to be only in theaters, that whole thing. It's kind of obnoxious, but I don't know. I don't know anything about the Venom world, really. I don't know anything about Carnage. I like Woody Harrelson. I will see it. I'll watch it, but I don't know if there's anything aside from maybe the breakfast scene or just Tom Hardy's normal demeanor that I found all that interesting. But the one thing I will say that I don't like is, and it's the same in the first, is I don't like the look of Venom when he's coming out of Tom Hardy. It looks very digital to me.
Yeah. And Venom has always been sort of a weird character to try to adapt. Not to be rude to any Venom fans out there, but Venom comes from this weird era of like fucking grunge core, let's make them edgy comic characters. And that's where you get like Venom. That's where you get Lobo. There are a few others that are good examples, you know. And for me, they never really landed as hard as I wanted them to. I always still preferred Green Goblin. I always still preferred Otto Octavius. And I even have somewhere around here, like I know the whole symbiote story. I've got Secret Wars and Spider-Man 300 in my house right now.
Nice.
So that means something to someone. If it's not you, your listener, then you just ain't in the know. So I enjoy Spider-Man. I love these characters, and I also just found the Venom movie and the Morbius movie just another instance of Sony making poor decisions with a great property. And more to the point, Venom is supposed to be anti-Peter. He's supposed to have all of the success that Peter wants, but be a shit. And so, you know, I'm not sure that anything about this, you know, once you kind of strip Venom from Spider-Man, it's kind of like stripping Joker from Batman. Where's the meat? They need each other because they are perfect foils. It's that classic narrative kind of thing. Yeah. And so this is them trying to be like, we can still do it without Marvel. Then no, the fuck you can't. Especially if you don't have Spider-Man, who is the glue for the entire notion of a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I agree. But Paul, how excited are you for Morbius?
Not.
Jared Leto coming back, full form.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
But no, I think I agree with all of that. I'm still somewhat interested. I think the thing that worked for me from the first one that I'm hoping there's a lot in this is just the kind of voiceover of Venom talking to Tom Hardy. I liked all that stuff as kind of silly as it was. I enjoyed it. Kind of relatable in a sense, I guess. But no, it looks okay. I know some people are freaking out about it, but I am not one of those.
Yeah, that's because the same people that are freaking out about this movie also probably like Rise of Skywalker.
It's the same group.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, but yeah, that one comes out in a couple months, so we'll keep you updated on that one. And then the other big trailer is the Forever Purge, which this is the 5th and final, supposedly, Purge film.
God,
and
please.
Yeah, we haven't reviewed any of the Purge movies on the show formally, but I've talked about them, and we talked about, Paul, you have not seen any of them to this point yet, right?
No, my only experience with the Purge actually comes from going to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Hollywood, where that particular year that I went, the theme of the main park was Purge election year.
Ah.
And my girlfriend at the time and I were trying to figure out directions on the map, and I was being a wise ass, and I looked at the person who was walking around in the stilts as the Statue of Liberty, and I was like, hey, could you tell me where this is? And they stopped, looked at me, leaned all the way down in their stilts, snatched the map up, looked at it, spun it around a little bit, folded it shut, and then just rip, and then just put right in my hand the little ripped up bits of map. And so that's my only experience of the Purge. And I laughed hysterically after that guy did that. I was like, I wish I could tip you.
Classic Purger right there.
No, that's a man who's ready for the Purge.
Yeah. But this one, I guess the concept, for, the franchise as a whole, it's, for 24 hours, or I guess it's 12 hours, whatever it is.
It's 12 hours. It's like dusk till dawn.
Yeah. So for one night a year, all crime is legal, including murder. And this one takes on the idea of what if people kind of continued after the Purge was over and just started causing mayhem, which is essentially normal life. It's, it's just people going out and committing murder, which, not to say that should happen, but, that happens. And it's essentially becomes almost like a Mad Max-esque kind of.
It feels like a cult movement where like a few group of people start and it just takes hold.
Yeah. And it becomes like a Texas, like Western standoff kind of movie.
And the whole gag is they're now trying to race into Mexico.
Very deep commentary there. And now, as I've said on the show before, I don't think any of the movies are amazing, but I do like the concept. And I typically, I haven't watched all of the show. The show is pretty bad, but I do like the Purge Anarchy. And I liked the first Purge, which is the fourth film, not the actual first Purge film. And I think there's really, it's one of those franchises where the discussion is typically more interesting than actually watching them. And so, I tend to, my curiosity is piqued most of the time when I hear about these or I watch them. But I thought this one looked, I think was I think the least interesting of any of them.
It looked the most obvious, and that's even with Purge election year being a thing. This one looked the most obvious, the most on the nose, the most schlocky, the most exploitative on a certain level. And so honestly, even though I've never really wanted to watch a Purge movie, this was the first time that I've actively watched a trailer for a Purge movie and been like, I really hate the idea of having to watch this movie.
Sure.
And I know that there's a real possibility I'm going to have to.
Own a show coming up.
And I was like, God bless it. This is the one that I really, truly don't want to watch.
Yeah.
Interestingly, going off of your whole discussion on the Purge and like its concept being more interesting, Dan Harmon, who wrote Community and Rick and Morty, obviously he did the Purge episode in Rick and Morty, but also on top of that, if you go into his Instagram, he'll sometimes watch movies in like a batch, and talk about them. And his whole breakdown on the Purge and what he would do in a Purge movie and stuff like that, I thought was fantastic. And his concept for a Purge movie was like following one family through like 5 years of purges. And I was like, hell yeah, that's like a really interesting way to take a concept that so often allows itself to just become schlock and kind of dig into it a little bit more.
Yeah, like I mean, I've listened to to reviews of it, read some things about it, and like hearing about either concepts for films or how people would go about trying to survive the Purge, I think are very interesting, and so I think that's why I tend to. My curiosity is kind of piqued when I hear that, just because I think it's interesting to talk about in that way. But no, this one, I think it looked, pretty schlocky, not a whole lot of commentary going on there because it's not really dealing with the actual Purge. It's just with purgers after the fact. And that's not, they're essentially just bad people. There's not really a context there. They're just people in masks causing chaos. And in this case, there's nothing to back them up. It's not Mad Max or anything like that, where it's so ridiculous. And then also, I mean, and if we ever do talk about them, we can go into it more there. But like the biggest issue with these movies, and I think this one in particular, is it indulges in the violence and the anarchy fantasy that it's trying to comment on and break down. And so it's like, here, murder is, look what could happen if things get really bad, but then also look how cool these masks are and how cool these guys look on their motorcycles.
Look how cool the design is. Look at how hilariously I designed this person's death. Exactly.
And so it's like, and it is done by Blumhouse, which makes sense. And so, that I think if you gave the concept to someone David Fincher or whoever's like an A-level person, and they said, write the script, direct it, all that stuff, I think you could get something really potent out of it. But
I'd love a Jordan Peele Purge movie.
That would be my pick, actually. Yeah, for sure. But instead, it's the same. From my knowledge, it's the same guy who writes it and directs it pretty much every time. And so you're not getting a real wide perspective, well-rounded perspective. It's just, hey, let's do another Purge movie. I have an idea.
Yeah, because, how much more can he, as one person with this concept, with these perspectives, really have to say? How much more is there left for him to say?
Yeah. So, yeah, I was kind of looking forward to seeing this trailer, and it could be something great, especially since it is the last one. But I was pretty disappointed by it.
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go.
Yeah, both trailers were a bit of a let for me.
Same. Yeah. All right, Paul, any other news you can think of?
No. You read my pages. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I told viewers last week, I think, that I would mention a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a feature script. I'm trying to get it done by the end of the month. I have 25 pages handwritten, which is like 13 pages typed, not including the most recent scene. And I'm doing a whole sort of takedown, send up kind of thing on superhero films and that kind of thing. And it's called The Dead Men. And it has this sort of Hellboy figure as one of the main antagonists. It has this sort of mutated turtle character from World War II as our main protagonist, and it's really shaping up nicely. And once I have more, I'll definitely share more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading both this treatment and the script. And I mean, I got like Watchmen, I got Hellboy, X-Men, and not in a bad way at all, just kind of little bits and pieces of things that I think are, Deadpool, and so it's a cool, I'm excited to see where it goes. And I can't wait to read the whole thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. But Paul, I was going to say, I mean, if you wanted to do some picks of the week, we could.
Yeah, I'm game for picks of the week. Yeah. Right. Do you want to take it off?
Sure. So this week, I pretty much just have a few rewatches. I rewatched No Country for Old Men.
Classic.
Yeah, which we reviewed, I think, one of the very first episodes of the show. And I think the movie is a true masterpiece. I don't say that a whole lot. I think it is amazing. I've watched it many times, and it really only gets better.
Yeah,
and
that's a perfect movie for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have any it's a rare thing to say. I don't think I have any issues with it. Then I also rewatched Hot Fuzz.
Another classic,
which I love as well. And I think, a few small little issues with that movie, but it's so funny. It's so clever. I love the concept, and it's very well executed. And then I also rewatched Aliens, the James Cameron Alien sequel, which I love as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love both Alien and Aliens, and I like Alien 3, and Prometheus I love.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Alien Covenant. I don't love it, but that could be a good talk for some time. And that's about it. I finished up Seinfeld, and I think just kind of been rewatching some films I know I'm gonna love. So that's about it for me.
No, sometimes it's good to go ahead and reach into something that is an ace in the hole, because I think that film criticism, or even just engaging in film on a regular basis, can sometimes have the effect of almost being disheartening.
Mm-hmm. Especially because movies are turds right now.
Yeah, like it's real hit or miss out there. And so, I think it's good to sometimes go and remind yourself, it's almost like self-care with your hobby. Like, go and remind yourself why you love it. Go and remind yourself what works and why it works. For me, actually, speaking of movies that hit, last night my wife and I had date night, and we decided it was a 10-year anniversary for a movie that we saw kind of on almost our first date-ish, if you will, 10 years ago. We watched Tailor Soldier Spy again.
Oh, man, that is a classic.
Yeah, great movie. Highly recommend. 2 hours and some change that just clips by. The movie does not play you for a sucker. You have to pay attention, but the payoff is worth it. It's a great, great movie. And it's based off of a great book series. There are 6 George Smiley books written by John le Carre. and I highly recommend all of them. He did the Smiley trilogy, then he retconned some things and did the Carla trilogy. They're both great.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I was just going to say it's directed by Thomas Alfredson, who did Let the Right One In.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is amazing. He also did the Snowman, which there are interesting things about that one, but it wasn't all his fault.
And then beyond that, we did Fast 5 recently. We did Fast and Furious, the fourth one. So we did the fourth, the fifth. I enjoy the fifth and the second, I think, the most because they're leaning into the lunacy the most.
I think Fast 5 is my favorite.
Yeah. And then we watched Ant-Man, which is very enjoyable. We watched Age of Ultron, which I had a whole series of sort of thoughts click in on this most recent watch. And that's pretty much all that we've been doing lately.
Now, I mean, we could talk about it in depth at some point. How do you feel about Age of Ultron?
Underrated.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll rock your world. We can have a whole discussion, and I'll rock your world on that movie.
Okay. Because I'll say, when I saw it first, I really enjoyed it. And on rewatch about, I don't know, year and a half ago, it was tough.
Let me throw something at you. The Mind Stone is the obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Huh.
It's chaotic change.
Sure. I'll let that one marinate.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, that would be a cool one to talk about at some point, if we could. Cool. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else for me really. No. So
no, I think I'm good too.
Yeah. All right. I guess that about does it for the show, sadly, this week. Now, next week, there have been a lot of new streaming releases. I think there have been a lot new on Netflix. There's also the Underground Railroad, the new Barry Jenkins series. So I think there's a lot to choose from. Paul, anything in particular you're striking your fancy?
No, I'll go and give a few things a look, and I'll let you know probably tomorrow.
Cool.
If I have anything. You?
No, I mean, I think I'm going to watch The Woman in the Window, which is the new Amy Adams, Joe Wright film, but I haven't heard the best about that. And so, yeah, nothing in particular.
Okay.
Although I guess, is Army of the Dead coming out soon?
Not a clue.
Yeah, I think that one's coming out fairly soon. And I think Cruella as well is coming out fairly soon, which has been getting some good buzz. So, we'll figure it out. Plenty of good choices, so we'll keep you updated, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FilmBuds, thefilmbuds.com. The FilmBuds podcast at gmail.com is the address that you can reach us at, and all of that is in the show notes, so check that out. Send us any questions, comments, whatever. And yeah, well, Paul, man, I mean, as always, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for sending me your work. I always enjoy reading it, so
yeah, thank you. Thank you for reading it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So, all right, everybody. Well, we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you next time.